Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome to the channel, and we have got some massive news for Helldivers 2. The CEO is stepping down. Alright guys, welcome to the channel. Let me break this down because this is actually really good news for the game, and it means we'll be getting more content, faster content, better content, and hopefully balanced weapons. So let me break all of this down. Johan dropped this over on X. Hey everyone, big update. I've decided to hire Shams Georgiani as the new CEO of Arrowhead. We go way back, and I wouldn't trust the business in any other hands than his. And he comes with an impressive resume and love for games. But what about me and my involvement in Helldivers 2? Well, I'm glad you asked. I am taking the role of Chief Creative Officer, which means I will spend more time with the team and 100% of my focus on the games and community. So you're probably wondering who Shams is. Well, Shams has got a massive resume. I'll link to this in the video description below. But basically, he was integral with the very early stages of Paradox and was very notably involved in Magicka, which of course was Arrowhead's first game. So in a lot of ways, this is sort of coming full circle, I guess. Anyway, this is taken from a gamesindustry.biz interview. Again, there's a link to this in the video description below. But this is what Shams is all about and what he says he is bringing to the game. What I'll be bringing to the table is organisation and leadership. What I did at Paradox, where I joined as the 23rd person and then helped grow the company into the behemoth it was about organisation, leadership and business focus. It's a lot, and frankly, the boring business administration stuff that is a necessary part of running a company, which is hard to do when you're also juggling the chairman hat and the creative director's hat, and also being the one who is in the trenches doing a lot of the designing that Johan has been doing over the years. So once again, there's a link to all of this stuff in the video description below, but I want to break down some elements of two interviews that are over on GameIndustry.biz. So the first one is this, right? A bit of an interesting title. Arrowhead Games, we want to be the next From Software or Blizzard. Helldivers 2 developer on handling the shock success of its game and its thirst for more. So on the face of it, you know, if any of you guys have been following Blizzard recently, you'd be like, what? Who would want to become Blizzard? Well, that's not what they mean by this. Essentially, what they're trying to say is they want to become a studio where people want to join because it's, you know, the Blizzard of old. It's hit after hit. It's revolutionary games. It's innovative games. It's not just monetization traps and things like that, which it typically is in this day and age. And obviously, From Software goes without saying. I mean, look at Dark Souls. Look at Elden Ring. I mean, I think everyone on the planet is looking forward to the expansion to Elden Ring. I mean, you'd be crazy if you're not. So you can understand wanting to be like those studios. We pride ourselves on being an independent studio, Johan says. We have to see what the future holds, but there is nothing in the plans where we want to be acquired by somebody. I want to see how high we can fly, and bringing Shams on board, we have a good potential to realise that future of turning us into the next From Software or Blizzard. Shams adds, the goal of the studio is to make really great co-op games. We really want to turn Arrowhead into a flagship studio where people who want to make these kind of games say to themselves, I want to work at Arrowhead. When we're growing up, we really wanted to work at Blizzard. It was one of the bucket list places to work at. I think Arrowhead has the potential to be that. But that doesn't mean we have to be a 500-person company. In fact, a 500-person company is quite painful in a lot of ways. We will see growth, but growth as a means to an end, to a means as an end, I should say, not as an end to itself. We don't have plans to go public, none of those shenanigans. Measured growth that allows us to make an amazing game and be a good place to work. Johan concludes, we don't run the business for monetary gain. The humbleness and the desire to just make great games is the only reason we exist. Now, this, guys, is a friggin' incredible takeout from this interview, because in this day and age, you've got massive bloat in AAA studios where there's too many staff. The game production, you know, price is too high. They're paying massive wages. They're paying, you know, massive amounts of people. They're trying to get this money back through really expensive box prices of games or crazy amounts of monetization. You see this in every AAA game at the moment. So there is a correction which is happening throughout the industry. And this year, we've seen the rise of games like Helldivers, where they're made by relatively small teams. They've become wildly successful within that small team scope. You know, you imagine putting Helldivers into Blizzard Entertainment right now. They probably would view it as a failure. They'd go, well, we didn't get the the user base that we thought we would get. The game would be a lot more expensive. It'd have a lot more aggressive monetization. It would be a failure. But actually, it's not a failure, is it? In a lot of ways, you can compare this to movies as well. You know, I've been on a bit of... This is going on a bit of a tangent, but I've been watching a lot of old movies recently. Like, I watched Demolition Man the other night. I love that movie. It's great. Although, weirdly, I watched the European version, which has got Pizza Hut in instead of Taco Bell. If you know, you know. And, well, the Taco Bell one is the only one to watch, but whatever. But those are movies that are not, I guess... you know, $200 million movies to make, or $500 million movies. I think it was like $50 million to make Demolition Man, and it makes money back and it makes a bit of profit, right? It's fine, but those days are kind of gone with movies, because it's all about, we need $1 billion in revenue, so we need another Marvel film, we need another like stupid film like that, which has got like massive high production costs. And gaming went the same way. It's like, we need another Call of Duty, we need, you know, everything is just way expensive. But yeah, there's obviously a space. You know, imagine if you've got a company where you go, okay, Helldivers, I mean, I'm making these figures up, but let's just say they've made $250 million. Oh, that's a lot of money. That's a hell of a lot of money, right? Imagine if their profit was $150 million or something, right? Again, I'm just making these figures up. That's really good, isn't it? But if you're a publicly traded company, that's got to grow, and it's got to keep growing every single quarter. So if you go, well, you know, we only made 100 million this year as opposed to 150 last year, you will get reprimanded for that. Your game will get pulled apart. You will have things forced upon you to make more money, and they don't want to do that, and that's friggin' awesome. It's music to my ears. So yeah, there is a bit of a correction going on in the industry, and it looks like Arrowhead could be one of the first studios that's had a lot of success, and it's almost going to maintain itself as this mid-sized, small-sized studio, I guess you could say. I don't want to say micro studio, but like a much smaller offering that is doing what it's really good at, and it is delivering really good games. It's not all sunshine and roses though, is it? Because when you grow, well, there's certain growing pains. Johan says this: the big difference is the amount of threats and rude behavior that people in the studio are getting from some really shitty individuals within the community. And the simple reality is, nobody is equipped to deal with a massive amount of communication coming their way, especially when it's on something that you have produced. I can kind of understand this myself, being in the position I've been throughout the years. I make videos. It is still a creative thing. You put it together, you look at the feedback from people, and yeah, overwhelmingly, it's positive, but you do get negative comments, and sometimes things can get out of your control, and you end up sort of swamped in a lot of negative comments, and it really does have a mental impact on you. It can really mentally drain you at times, and it is a very difficult position to be in. But you imagine amplifying that tenfold, 100-fold, 1,000-fold, and then somebody who has no experience with any kind of exposure like this suddenly getting bombarded with a load of comments. It is a problem. And I think this goes back to Arrowhead itself. You know, it's a small studio that doesn't really have any experience dealing with something of this scale. Well, it's starting to get experience now, and this will be good experience for in the future. Whatever their next games become, if they become as popular, they will have systems in place, structures in place to deal with this. You know, you can compare this to even companies like Blizzard, Valve, EA, I suppose, Activision, and companies like that, where they have these structures in place to protect the developers, to make sure the right message is kind of getting out there. But be under no illusion here, guys. I'm not sitting here advocating for PR washed complete shit. I hate that stuff. But what I'm saying is there's got to be some sort of a layer in front of the development team, right? And I don't think Arrowhead have got that at the moment, but I do really enjoy the fact that the devs come out and speak to us directly. And I hope that continues. But yeah, I guess it's a bit of a double-edged sword. So Johan has been active on Twitter, and this is awesome because he gives us a ton of insight. He gets asked this: does this mean that weapon rebalancing will get the attention it deserves with you taking a more involved role? And he simply says, yes, that's the plan. So there you go. Music to my ears. Johan is going to get in there and sort out the mess of the weapons in Helldivers 2. So you get away from the CEO parts to focus on your passion. Great. After all, doing both should have been stressful. Now off to have your fun, right? And Johan says, yeah, I hit Burnout a couple of times, but now I will ensure I focus my energy on where it is best directed. Now, I think this probably alludes to everything that's been going on with the game, right? If Johan was acting basically as the game's director, also acting as the studio head, when you've got things like the PSN drama, you've got problems with community managers, you've got all these other issues, you've got to deal with those as well as the game stuff. And maybe things were being delegated to people that were not in a position to make the right calls, and that might be why certain things have changed in the game over the last couple of weeks. Now Johan is back to take control. You need to ensure more content to retain player base. I wish you the best of luck. Helldivers is an amazing game. And he says, yeah, longer lasting content as well. And this is true. content, like the worst thing in modern live service games is when content is added and then it is just blasted through instantly and you've got no interest, or it's added then taken away. That's terrible. So I think this goes without saying, right? Helldivers at the moment is suffering its lowest average player numbers since launch on Steam. I'm not sure what the PlayStation numbers are, but Steam numbers are trending down. We used to get easily over 100,000 peak every day. We don't get that anymore. This is because, and it simply is this, there isn't enough levels to play on. There isn't enough maps. There isn't enough varied maps. Yeah, we've got loads of planets, but it's all the same kind of tile set, and it's all the same sort of map generation. After a while, it gets a bit boring. We need different stuff. We need newer weapons. We need more engaging ways to play the game. We need better major orders. All of this stuff will come, and hopefully with Johan back in charge of that and just solely focusing on that, which I'm sure this is what he was doing before the game went live, we could see a renaissance of the game. Big congratulations. Few questions here. Will you still work with PlayStation in the future? Arrowhead is still a second-party studio working with Helldivers and PlayStation. Where is the new Helldivers faction? Big congratulations. Johan says, yes, our partnership with PlayStation is strong and we will continue working together on Helldivers 2. Still second party. So yeah, not a first party studio, still a second party studio, and obviously doesn't answer the other questions there. What is the goal with this new position switch? How are things going to be different? To let me focus more on games and not have to deal with HR policies and quarterly business reports, which I think says it all. Start by making armors have actual interesting stats. Too many are just copies. All the guns in the Polar Warbond are meh or bad. Best addition was the grenade. Can the bots or bugs attack other planets instead of moving in a straight line towards Super Earth? And he agrees on all points. And again, this goes back to making changes to things in the game which are boring. You know, it is boring that the bots only come from the left-hand side of the map. You know what I mean? The bugs only come from the right-hand side. Well, why can't they be mixed up? Is that even possible? The Warbond weapons, we could talk about forever because they've just been not great. And I do agree with this comment that the grenade is, the incendiary grenade is really good. I mean, 100%. Also, I do think the SMG was pretty strong as well. But we already know things like the tenderizer are going to get buffed at some point, probably in the next patch. And also armor as well. Armor is, I'm going to say it, armor is boring in this game. It is so boring. I am now 100% in the school of I just want the armor with the increased range on throw, because I can throw in my eagles and my orbital strikes from miles away against enemy bunkers and just blow them up, and then I don't even have to go in there. Because when I ain't got that, I really can't do that, and it super annoys me. And yeah, it's boring. We need different stats. We need stats that buff different play styles, right? You know, we need the sky's the limit with this stuff. So yeah, hopefully we get that in future. Will you still be active among the community? Now, this is great news for me because he says, yeah, even more so. This will be great, right? We want Johan to be unleashed because we want to know what he's thinking. We want to know what the game development team are thinking. We want to know what they're working on. We want to see new stuff. We want to see it. Just give it us. So this is great news. He was asked about going public, and again, this was sort of answered in the interview section at the top of the video that we covered, but I think it is worth going over this again. And he says, no, we're not going public. It doesn't make sense for a dev studio and has never paid off. We will double down on what makes Helldivers 2 great. Now, there's a lot going on in this comment, because remember, if you go public, you're offering shares on the stock markets, right? So you're saying you can buy a stock in our game studio and we're making games. So you go in and you buy, let's say, I'll make these figures up, $10 for a share, right? You buy 10 shares, right? That's great. You look at your shares next year and you want them to go up, or you look at them next quarter, you want them to go up. Yeah, you don't want your shares to go down. Well, what happens if Arrowhead releases a quarterly report which goes, average users have gone down on Helldivers 2, which they wouldn't even need to release a report on because you could visibly see this on SteamDB. What would happen to the share price? It goes down. So then what happens to Arrowhead? We need to think of a way to get players to stay playing the game. And that results in a lot of the horrible player retention systems you see, like I said, in a lot of modern games from, studios like Blizzard, like your Activisions of the world, where, yeah, they want to keep you playing the game because that's what the shareholders want. Kind of sucks to see you go, but I hope you'll still give us updates on the game. You've been an awesome CEO, and I hope you'll enjoy your time at your new position. And he says, yeah, I'm still here, and will be more active with the community and work closer to the team. I am still very much involved. The business side takes too much time from making games, which is true. And like I said, it's obvious that Johan is just a game designer, wants to work on leading the studio in that way and not working on all the extra stuff that comes with, a game that's essentially made hundreds of millions of dollars. Someone's got to run that, and Johan was sort of trying to do everything, and it clearly wasn't working. I must be out of the loop because this is news to me. I imagine it might be more fun to work with the game direct than have to deal with all the extra paperwork of being a CEO on top of that. That's what I think, but Shams likes the other part more, Match Made in Heaven or Helldivers. So yeah, you know, Shams clearly likes the business element of game studios. He can run that. Johan can run the games. That's basically the situation we've got now. As Chief Creative Officer, what is your direction in receiving and reviewing player feedback? Very good question. First thing we got to do is ensure we get more devs time playing the game. It's hard to make the right decisions if the eyes aren't on the road. Secondly, I want to ensure we actively look at the sentiment and create a holistic view of why feedback is given. And my working theory is that time to kill is too high. So, very interesting comment here. And I really want to focus on the thing about the devs not playing the game enough. He wants the devs to play more of the game. This might be why we've seen some very weird buffs and nerfs to weapons. Mainly nerfs and things, you know, I'm going to throw it out there. Alexis, the balance dev, saying about the eruptor shrapnel when you're detonating it underneath the charger being an exploit. That is not an exploit. That is insane. But there's always been a debate within the community of like, what difficulty are these devs playing the game on? Are they like running around on like difficulty 3 or 4 and going, oh, these weapons are a bit too strong here, you know, we need to get rid of them. But actually, on Helldive, you're barely surviving with the weapons as they are. And then when they nerf them, you're like, what the actual hell is going on here? But I have said in other videos, the thing with Helldivers is they can increase the difficulty. We're definitely going to get difficulties beyond Helldive. And then that can almost balance the weapons out if they're too strong at the lower levels. So I don't know. But like we know Johan wants the weapons to be super fun in the game. And so I would expect we're going to get a patch which is going to make the weapons really, really powerful. And it's going to feel incredible. Is this an excuse to play more Warhammer 40k? Tell us the truth. I would lie if it wasn't a small part of the decision. In all seriousness, though, there's plenty of work to be done. And I think we'll end with this. That's a great magic circle. Congrats to both. And he says, thanks, man. Now, yeah, Magicka obviously was the game Johan and Shams worked on together. Shams obviously helped publish it, I think, with Paradox. And yeah, so they know each other. They've known each other for a while, so it should be a match made in heaven. All right, guys, there you go. So obviously big news in the Helldivers 2 world. Now, how this will manifest for us as gamers, hopefully we get more content faster and it's better, right? We're always going to ask for fast content, but we're always going to say, slow down when the content you're giving us isn't great, which is what's been happening. The monthly war bonds have not been great. The newer content has not been great. We need better content that feels good to use. And hopefully, we're just going through a readjustment period here. Maybe it's a few more weeks, and then things start to get rolling again. And then we get to see, you know, the proof will be in the pudding, right? Will these changes make a difference? Will we start seeing like more awesome stuff added to the game? I'm sure we will, because this game is it's a major success. And it is one of the only games that's come out in recent years to establish itself as essentially a new IP. I know Helldivers 1 came out in 2015, but it's essentially a new IP. And it has built this big audience. We know there's a lot of people that will play the game, but we also know that there's people coming away from the game at the moment because, yeah, there's other games out there to play. And remember, Helldivers isn't a game that's designed for you just to play non-stop. It's supposed to be drop in, drop out by its very nature. Look at the progression systems and such. They all reinforce that. But I think they need newer things. Like, you know, I remember when they added the extract... what was it? I was going to say extract evaluated personnel, but it's not that. You guys know what I'm talking about. The one where it's the rocket fires off and it's got the Helldivers in. What's it called? It's the VIP thing, whatever. But that's a base defense, right? You go out and you shut the doors, you shut the gates, you're on like this last stand mode, you're trying to defend. That felt great when it was added to the game, yeah? Things like that feel really awesome when you get new mission modes. I think stuff like the TCS, that was okay as a mission type. It was an interesting looking map, but it was kind of not that... It wasn't as interesting as other mission types, right? But the problem we've got now is we've just got a lot of the same mission types we've been playing for like almost 4 months. It all needs to change. But anyway, I'm sure all of this will. Anyway, if they can get this sorted, guys, I think we could be going into another era of Helldivers where it gets even more content, better content, and the game just keeps going. It's going to be incredible. All right, guys, thanks for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed that. If you did, let me know what you think about all of this in the comments below. Leave a comment below. That really helps as well. And yeah, like the video, all of that good stuff. Sub to the channel for more awesome content. I've been Stylosa, and I'll catch you guys on the next video. See you soon.